I think the biggest thing is building a team of really talented people that want to work with you. Because every job that I move on to, I feel like I acquire one more piece of the team. But there's wardrobe, there's makeup, there's set decoration, there's your camera team, there's all those things. And so every single year, I try to focus on, okay, who are my lifers?
All right, welcome back to another episode of First Rounds and Me, and today we have the pleasure of hosting Daniel Catton, a true visionary director, writer, and filmmaker. We're going to dive into his directing career, we'll get his thoughts on the biggest mistakes people make on a first date, figure out why Gen Z isn't as eager to spend money on dating anymore, all while playing a few rounds of How Well Do You Know Yourself, first thing that comes to mind, and Fuck, Marry, Kill. D-Cat,
What's
welcome
up?
to the show, babe.
Thank you for having me, guys. Okay.
So, we actually know you because you employed us to come do a little short film with you,
It's true.
which was super exciting. Joe's
Yeah.
only role was to literally make out with me on a bed.
That is true. It was the role was very sexually charged, but let me tell you, you guys have a chemistry. You can't teach it. you guys have it.
Well,
so.
I didn't know if you didn't care about the part. We were just doing so well because we're married, but you guys didn't really have many notes for us. We were like, we're either doing really good or they just don't give a shit.
When we
about
were
us.
in post, like looking through all the footage, I was like, I had the least notes for them because their role was what they do in real life, which is hopefully kiss
Which
and make out.
is smart casting by a
No,
director.
exactly,
Truly
no.
and utterly getting a married couple to do something like that.
Can
No,
I ask
definitely.
how you got, like, I know Aramis reached out to Hannah, but did you guys just need a married couple to do that part?
Well, what happened is we were looking at other options for the mystery man, and I kept telling Aramis, I was like, I need this couple to really go at it. I need some good makeout, some hands running up the body. And I was like, if we're paying really well, usually actors will be professionals and be like, okay, I can do that. But I was like, when the rates aren't that high, I was like, does she have like a boyfriend or a fiance? And Aramis sent me the picture of you, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I was like, he's a little too pretty, but I was like, we can make it. We can ugly him up a little bit.
We can
And
dirty him down.
Same with when Aramis sent me you first, I was like, maybe a little too pretty, but like let's see what we can do with a little makeup, like reverse makeup,
Yeah, the entire day you're like, stop putting makeup on. I was like, I'm sorry.
I'd walk down and she'd be putting a little blush on. I'd be like, no more of that. Like, I don't want to see any contoured lines. I don't want to see anything.
All of your age.
Yeah,
Absolutely all of it. All right, I want to take
Exactly.
it back to kind of your directing career in general, and I want to know what inspired you to become a director, and like kind of what drew you to storytelling through film.
Well, when I was a kid, when I was like 13, my parents got me this thing called a flip, which a flip was like a video camera that had a built-in USB, and you could like record stuff on it and then just like plug it right in your computer and edit it straight from there. And so that's like my first introduction to it. So I have four siblings. I come from like a big family. So I'd make my siblings be like all the different roles in my little things, and I would have like friends over to kind of like enact my visions, I guess you could say. And then, like a lot of directors, I actually came out to LA to act. And a lot of directors you'll find, I'm talking as far as Quentin Tarantino down to like commercial actor or directors that I work with now. Most people, when they're kids, your interest in the medium is usually acting because that's what you see. Like when you're a kid and you're watching movies, you're not thinking about the gaffer or the cameraman or any of that stuff. So like I would say most people, including myself, I came out here wanting to be an actor in commercials. So I came out and I was in college. I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And the thing that happened was I started working for this guy in Malibu because I went to school in Pepperdine. And I had like a job that I met his wife, and he turned out to be a cinematographer that had shot the movie Fight Club. And Fight Club, yeah. So
Oh,
I was
wow.
working for his wife, and if you know, the director of Fight Club is David Fincher, and his DP, great friend of mine, Jeff Cronenweth. He was the very, very first person in the industry I ever met. I met him when I was 19 years old. I was working for his wife doing manual labor. And I was downstairs one morning taking a piss, and I saw all these Fincher posters. And he was never home, but this one time, for whatever reason, he had a day off, and I heard him on the computer. So I just go up and I just go, "Hey man, just so you know, I love your Fincher posters." And he goes, "Oh, I shot those." And so from there, I was like, "Oh man, this is kind of my end." So I was like, he invited me to come on set with him. I did a couple commercials with him just as an intern. And then while I was on set with him, that was the moment that I was like, I don't want to be on that side of the camera. I want to do what you guys are doing.
Wow.
And so I kind of just changed everything. I started at school at the time. I was going to school for psychology. I changed to media production, like just to get like that under my belt. And then from there, I just started PAing a lot. Like I was a production assistant on commercials for years and years and years. And then finally, I just kind of got the nerve to tell people I'm a director. And that's kind of how it goes.
I like how you said it as a question.
No, and I think that's kind of like the director position is one of the funniest ones because there's not a direct path to it. Every other position on set, like cinematographer, you can join the union as a utility, work your way up to a camera operator. But the director position's a little bit of a fugazi, and every director I talked to was like, no one had the direct route. They were all kind of like make stuff, you know. But I never got the answer I wanted for how I was gonna do it. So I just kind of told people that's what I was doing, and then one thing led to another, and now it's what I do full time.
Well, two things. You spoke it into existence. Probably that's a very similar path for all directors. Is the fact, as you said, there's no direct line to it. So just saying out loud, "I am a director," and then going and making things is the way that you become a director. But it's really curious that the background in psychology, and that's what you went to school for. How long did you study that before you switched?
So that ended up being my minor. That's just what I was really interested in. I was interested in it because psychology really tells you how people think, and the biggest thing that I took away from psychology is why people act too is a big reason. You can basically any action according to psychology you could you know trail back to something that happened in your youth or something you're genetically disposed to. And I think especially even directing, it's helped me more than anything because when I'm like finalizing a script or even the script that you guys were just in, one of the biggest things I came back to on all my script notes were from like the psychological mind and my understanding of humans. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Is the way this person is speaking or not speaking live within my world of psychology and my knowledge of it? And another thing that came directly from David Fincher, he does this amazing show called Mindhunter. That is literally just about, it's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's only 2 seasons. I can't recommend it enough. And it just goes into the psychological aspects of serial killers. And I know it sounds crazy, but
No, I love
in
murder.
the 70s, we
love it.
finally decided like, hey, instead of just locking these people up to rot for the rest of their lives, let's go talk to them. Let's go break down what happened in your youth. Why are you the way you are? And through this show, there are so many commonalities between every serial killer. And that's what the show goes into.
I listen to literally like murder all day, every day.
So you're, and you're like, and I hear it in the background.
And he does. I was getting ready to say, what are you listening to?
Okay.
But it is for that exact reason of like trying to understand why people do what they do. Like I'm so fascinated as to how someone could be pushed to that like think and where that comes from in their childhood. And so I'm sure that like that knowledge of psychology really not only benefits you now, but will continue to benefit you as you tell stories.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right,
and you noticed it too when we were doing the film, the kid with the knife.
Yeah.
How he was quote unquote going to murder us.
Yeah.
And the way you were directing him, I was listening how you were explaining to him. You're like, envision you're doing this, and you drop the knife this way.
Yeah.
And now that you're talking about it, you were probably thinking psychologically, okay, how would a killer actually think and drop the knife and act in that way?
And just exactly on that one, the whole point of doing that moment was to show, because that's a flashback in the movie, and it's to show that he's not a killer. So as you just said, he like drops the knife and drops it.
What was your first ever project?
My first ever project I did was a short film called Till Death Do Us Part. And it was a little 5-minute thing that I funded myself. And it was literally just a morning. It was like a 1960s family, and they're having breakfast. Kids run off. And have you ever heard the Paul Anka song, Put Your Head on My Shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your head.
Yeah.
So we, through like a weird connection, got clearance to use that song for the short film. And basically it's a happy, whimsical song, and then the wife actually stabs the husband in the back. You've seen it.
I watched it.
So you know exactly what I'm talking
about.
Wild, mate. That's the first one. And it was supposed to be kind of the juxtaposition of that happy, whimsical song that makes everyone feel good, and then her basically finding out the reveal in the end is the infidelity, obviously, of her husband. She goes into it after she stabs him, goes into his briefcase and finds some panties that are not hers.
Did you do that at Pepperdine?
I did that my senior year at Pepperdine, but not through Pepperdine. Like through the friends I had there at the time.
How is their program? Because
terrible.
Really, we get a lot of inbound offers from, I would say like 3 or 4 different groups of girls that are in the media
production or
media
film.
Production.
It might have gotten better. To me, your film program is only as good as the gear you have to offer your students.
Okay.
And so USC, super far end of the perfect scale. They have sound stages for their kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that's the 1% of the 1% though, as far as film school goes. So Pepperdine to me just needs to do better. You're in Southern California, you're in Malibu, and I mean, this is going to mean nothing to you, but the best camera they have is like a C300, which would be like a Galaxy instead of an iPhone.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not a bad camera, but if you're trying to get your kids to go into Hollywood and take over the industry in one of the most competitive things,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give them the tools to like, at least compete with the other kids.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm trying to say is like the faculty are great. Everyone is so nice there, but it's just not it.
Yeah, it's interesting because they sent us over some of their work, and the storyline was great and like really aligned with us as a dating app. But I didn't know how to judge it. I was like you said, like
to come full circle on that. That was the first thing I shot on my own. The first thing I got paid to shoot was a Lexani commercial. Lexani is a tire company.
Oh, we saw it because she mentioned to me your Cooper Cup connection.
And so that's kind of where I got lucky. I had a friend from college that owned this tire company, and they were looking for some type of celebrity endorsement. And like I was telling you earlier, I'm from Yakima, Washington. Cooper Cup is also from Yakima, Washington, and we went to high school together. So he's older than me though, so he's probably a senior when I was a sophomore, something like that. So we were friendly in high school, but then once he moved to LA, he was like one of the only people I knew in LA at the time. So I kind of reached out to him.
It's a good person to know.
No, really, really great. And he was so gracious and so kind to me. He, for very below what his ad rate was, he was willing to tag along this Lexani commercial, which then allowed me to direct it because I don't even know if he knows this, but like one of the big reasons they allowed me to direct it was because I had this connection. And then from there, that's kind of why I've gotten so deep into commercials recently, is because that was like kind of my first break was that commercial with him.
It all ties back to being a good person and connecting with the right people, and all help you.
I guess,
it really does,
yeah.
because
All right, I want to know like who are some of the like your dream actors to work with?
My dream actors. That's a really, really good question.
Thank you.
One of them that it's kind of funny, but I'm waiting for the right project with her. It's someone that I went to school with. Her name's Brittany O'Grady. She was in The White Lotus.
I was going to say, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, in The White Lotus, she's the friend that goes on vacation with the rich family or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And she is just a phenomenal actress. I mean, she has this stillness on camera that you really can't teach. It's like one of those things that like when I watch her act, even in real life, like when she talks to you in real life, it's like you're the only person there. It's like what I call the Daisy effect. You know what I mean? You ever seen The Great Gatsby?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like when Daisy walks in a room, you know how the way they shot it, everyone looks at Daisy. So I've called it this for years, but anytime someone has that, I don't have that. Like I'm a little ADHD, and sometimes I feel like when I talk to people, they feel like I'm thinking about 9 other things, which I probably am. But so I always admire that a lot. So she's definitely one of them. Ironically, I've kind of gone back and forth with this actor, like enjoying his performances, not, but Austin Butler. He recently has been doing stuff that it's just he can't miss, and I think that's the thing. Like I didn't really love his Elvis thing, but I just saw Dune the other day.
I've heard he's phenomenal in Dune.
He is phenomenal, and for him to take such a dark character that is like not technically good for you landing those big macho roles after that, I'm told. Like once you go as the villain, I'm told it can be harder to take on Batman once you're not Batman worthy, I guess they say. So for him to like take that risk and do this dark, twisted role, I was like really impressed with that.
Do you have to see Dune 1 to see Dune 2?
You probably should.
That's good to know.
And then last, but like certainly not least, forever and ever, just like Brad Pitt. Like Brad Pitt's the man.
It's Joe's man crush.
No, he really
One
is.
of them, yeah.
And
he's up there.
He's, between him and like Matthew McConaughey, like those two, I don't know if anyone else in Hollywood has had that big of a career arch. Usually, as we all know, like if you're the rom-com guy, you're the rom-com guy forever. If you're the stud in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're not doing Fight Club later.
What do you think about Steve Carell?
The issue with Steve Carell is I'm a huge Office fan, and so it's not even his fault. And he might be giving great performances, but I couldn't even tell because, like, for instance, when I watched The Beautiful Boy was like a script that I'm like jealous I didn't get to direct. Have you guys seen this?
No, I've heard of it. I haven't
It's
seen
with
it.
him and Timothy Chalamet, and Timothy Chalamet is a drug addict, and it's about this great relationship between a father and a son, and how much do you love this kid until you have to send him away type thing. And so the script is amazing. Like it was one of those things where I was like, I should have cried 9 times in this movie, but he's just Michael Scott forever.
See,
And I don't know if it's his fault, and I don't know if it's because I watched The Office so many times.
From your association, or just the fact that that is the perpetual
I
association?
don't know if Michael Scott is too deep, if he did too many seasons of it, if he was that character for too long, you know? Because I don't think it's fair to pigeonhole actors just because they take on an iconic role. But like when he's calling his son and saying like I'm gonna love you forever, even though whatever, I'm just like I hear a little Michael.
See, I think the opposite. I think because of Michael Scott and like Anchorman, and then watching, was it Foxcatcher?
Okay, was that his first one? I don't know if I've seen Fox.
That's when he's the wrestling coach.
Okay,
Foxcatcher.
Is that pretty good?
So good. And then have you ever seen Cafe Society?
I haven't seen that one
Oh,
either.
so you'd really
So
love
maybe
the
these
movie.
are the two I need to
But
like dive
yeah,
into.
watching him, and it's not comedy at all.
Okay.
I'm like, damn, he made me see the difference between Michael Scott versus this other character. And
I
was
gotta
like,
watch
"That's
those two
impressive."
then, because I want
Super
to.
impressive.
I'm rooting for him. It's not even like I'm like you have to be a comedic actor forever. I just like The Office has been my like go-to show for too long. Like if I need a low anxiety, I don't really want to watch it. I just need some sort
Background.
of
Mine's
I need
Seinfeld.
I need something. Okay, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That's my roommate, so like
Okay.
that's playing in my house a lot too. But yeah, that's kind of like my go-to. Need something to fill the space.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
All right, so round out directing, I want to know what advice you would give to aspiring directors who are just starting their career.
I'm gonna try to do better than all the directors I talk to. I would say the biggest thing you can do is build your team. And everyone talks about like making stuff and all that stuff is important. And I think the biggest thing is building a team of really talented people that want to work with you. Because every job that I move on to, I feel like I acquire one more piece of the team. So like just for not everyone knows all the different items that go into a film set, but there's wardrobe, there's makeup, there's set decoration, there's your camera team, there's all those things. And so every single year I try to focus on, okay, who are my lifers? So, like my lifers would be like my producer, Aramis. He's the for life guy.
Love him.
You love him. We all
We
love
love him.
He's been on the podcast. Yeah. So like that's a lifer. Or like my DP, Joaquin. You guys met Joaquin. Joaquin is a lifer. And so you kind of try to develop these relationships so that when you get the passion project or you get the project that doesn't pay as well, those people are like, well, we did that commercial that paid me really well. We did those 3 commercials. And I think building that type of team is so important. And you see even at the highest level, like Tarantino has used his same gaffer. That's the lighting guy. He's used the same gaffer since 91. You know what I mean? And these really, really big directors, they do bounce around a little bit within departments. And obviously, as you get bigger, your Oscar-nominated DP might be doing might be doing a huge movie off in Canada. So you do have to. I'm sure you get more flexible. But like as of right now, I think that would be my biggest advice: is build your team. Like find the people that you want to work with and go tell them. Go tell them, hey, I want to work with you forever. And I know that sounds like kind of maybe a little bit like corny, but like
no, I think it's beautiful.
I think it's truthful.
They're kind of like your stability in the sense of in amidst all of the chaos. And I think what you just said, I'm sure Joe can attest to it as well, being like the CEO of a company. It's all about the team that you build around you, because nobody can do it by themselves. And to have those people who are, I like lifers. That's a really good term to use, because it's true. It's like the people that you can count on, the people that you can rely on, who are the calm within the chaos. And
no, totally.
I think that's really beautiful. I love that.
There's a Denis Villeneuve quote where he says, "Make movies with people that love cinema, not themselves." And I think that's the biggest thing in Hollywood. Every single person here was too cool for their hometown. Every single person here moved out here because they probably were the top 1% of wherever they were. And so you come in, it's a very, very unique city where there's a lot of people with a lot of, good ideas. And so I think that that's it. It's just finding people that love the same thing you do and that are dependable. Like when we talk about something, I leave this room knowing that you're going to do what you say you're going to do and you're going to do it on time. And it's like,
love that. I'm stealing that quote too.
Yeah, no, please
There's
do.
one similar that we have is, imagine how great everything would be if no one took credit for it. If no one had to take credit for it. Because
100%.
everybody wants credit.
Everyone wants credit.
And then you overstep your boundaries because you're like, well, I want the most credit. And then it ruins everything.
Exactly.
Well, that comes down to ego as well, doesn't it? And talk about a place that's just fraught with bloody ego is LA in general, but then in particular the media, film industry, acting industry.
But that's why I like Daniel and Jonathan and all those, the younger generation of Hollywood, especially them, because I feel that they're all helping each other, and I see that they're all going to pop. They're all going to be great because they all believe in one another, and they're not like all the other people that we run into where it's like, I'm only going to help you as far as you can get me. And you put it well before, where it's like people will help you until they're equal to, but they'll never promote you to be more than them.
Yeah,
And
no
I
one
hate that.
no one wants you to go higher than them.
Yeah, and it's so
And that's
true.
and that's something that I've even had to wrestle with, because I'm finally getting to the place where I'm kind of mentoring a few people now, and I've even struggled with it where they'll be like, like one of the kids I'm mentoring right now, he just did a Beats commercial.
Oh,
He
incredible.
directed a Beats commercial, and I'm just like, when I first read that, I was like, you know, but then I was like, whoa, dude, so cool. Like, you want to use my camera? You know what I mean? Like,
but I think that's a really
it's just
natural.
like-
That's a really natural human. I mean, you can, again, going back to your psychology minor.
Yeah.
It's a very natural human emotion to go, fuck that little bit of jealousy. But that's when I think the people who have evolved and grown stop themselves and go, wait a second, how can I help? How can
Yeah.
I add rather than subtract from this person's success? Because it's such a beautiful thing. The person I'm
put yourself
mentoring.
in there and reverse the roles. Imagine you told somebody that helped you,
Yeah, no, exactly.
hey, I'm shooting this film. You'd want them to be happy for you.
No, 100%.
You know?
Yeah, that's so
love it.
true.
All right, let's get into dating. We're a dating podcast
That's
after
what we're
all.
here for.
That's what we're here for, babe. Well, actually, kind of like the crossover between dating and directing. I want to know, have you ever like felt a connection with somebody, like an actor on set, and how did you handle that entire situation?
I have.
I feel like this is like you in this industry, you can't share too much because it's like the lines between.
Well, that's what I was just about to talk about, and especially as the director. The director is the number one abused power position. The DPs they're trying to catch up. But, you know, the directors are just so in the hot seat that now I'm like hearing stuff that the DPs are doing. I'm like, he did what? He got what? He got pregnant and what's, you know? It's all good, people. But no, I would say I think the biggest thing, and my DP and I we just had a conversation about this the other day. It's okay to feel those feelings, and that's totally fine. But the second you start to jeopardize the project, that's where it becomes like a huge issue. And I think that's where, that's where people get in trouble, is when they're not professional. So like how I've handled it in the past, the one time it happened is it was actually, I was directing something in France. And there was a background gal that I really liked.
Making eyes out.
Yeah, that we were making eyes out, and then that day, and then I like at lunch, I always sit alone. I don't know if you noticed that, but I always sit alone at lunch. And she came and sat with me, and I was like, "Now there's trouble in River City." I was like,
but at least you weren't like aggressively pursuing. Like,
no, exactly.
There was
so
like
that's
the eyes and the mutual interest.
Yeah, it felt like it was redeemable. So she sat down, we started talking, and we had so much in common. Like we liked a lot of the same stuff, and so. Anyways, from there, that night we were like hanging out, we got a drink, and I basically just told her, I was like, when we're done filming, I would love to take you to dinner, but right now I'm not in a headspace to where I could do much with you, emotionally, physically, whatever. I was like, I'm not really here. And ironically, she didn't really like that. It was kind of something that I thought was going to go over really well.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, I think I mean, from hearing that, maybe she thought it was a cover up that you didn't like her.
Maybe.
That's how it sounds.
I also feel like I just delivered it a lot better to you guys than I probably delivered it to her. I probably delivered it to her in a way that felt more like rejection and less like compassionate about your feelings and making sure you feel like
and also compassionate about the project that we're on at the moment to be able to finish that to the fullest extent rather than like focus my energy and time.
I also have great people around me, like like Aramis. Like if he saw something like that, real quick.
Oh yeah,
let's keep it appropriate.
He's such a respectful and down to earth fellow, though. He's so lovely.
No, he is. He is.
So
yeah,
lovely.
He's been just like the absolute rock of my career. Like, he really has. The producing is a hard thing. He has to have all the unfun conversations with money. Like, when stuff goes wrong on set, what do we all do?
So his mom's great too.
Oh, she's amazing.
No, his mom's phenomenal. She helps us a lot too.
Yeah,
she's
well,
like,
when she was there that day.
Yeah, no, you know exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, she rocks it. And like anytime we're like really feel like our backs up or against the wall, it's like, Rhonda, please.
Rhonda, help us.
Shout out to Rhonda.
Wait, so you just started dating somebody, correct?
I did.
Did you meet her on set?
I did not meet her on set. She is one of my best friends. Who has a girlfriend. She is her good friend.
Love when that happens.
So how did it all come about?
It all came about. So she was in a relationship for like 3 years, or a very long time before this.
Did you always have your eye on her?
Well, okay. So I met her a month and a half before they officially broke up.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
maybe
they were
you
still
had
together.
something to
They-
do
but
with
they
it.
were
So
on
they
their
were,
way
yeah,
out.
you know, I don't know if it'd be fair to say that, but like I think there was other things going on. But we definitely met, and when we think back on that conversation, like there definitely was like a. I remember basically meeting her, and then they live in like an apartment building with a gym in it, and I went up to the gym to go talk to my friend because he was up there. And I was like, "Who's that
Oh
girl
my
downstairs?"
God.
Like you know, kind of like that, just like, and I don't know, I was just asking, and he goes, I'll never forget what he says. He goes, "Oh yeah, brother, get in line. She's been in a relationship for 3 years."
Wow.
He's like, the line's out the door. You know, like, you know, she's a really, really great girl. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, like, whatever. I just kind of left it alone. But, you know, we stayed friends. And then the next time I saw her was at like a party. And I'm not saying she was acting single, but she wasn't acting like she was in a relationship, you know? Like, I didn't see her partner there. I didn't, you know, she was just kind of felt like more of a free spirit. That's what I'll say.
She was giving off the energy of
Giving
kind
off
of-
the
yeah.
energy. So I just, you know, approached her, and sure enough, my intuition was correct. And yeah, I think right there, I asked her if she wanted to go get a pedicure. We like started talking about our nails, which was kind of weird. And I'm one of the few men
To leave the party and go get a pedicure, or
not
like
leave the
first
party,
date?
but I think it was more organic than it's sounding. We were talking about nails and that, and then on my way out, I had to leave earlier, and then I was like, we should go get a pedicure sometime.
Sometime. Okay.
Sometime, yeah.
Not
Like I
12
didn't like
o'clock
set
after
the
party.
date. Yeah, I just basically said that, and she was like, "That would be awesome." And so
That's such a beautiful first date idea. Oh
Hannah's
my
been asking
God.
me to get a pedicure for 4
For the
years.
longest time, he refuses to. But the fact that you put that out there, threw that out there for like
we
a
actually
first
got into
date
a
of
fight
sorts.
one night because one night she comes home and I took my sock off and she's like, "You got a pedicure?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Your feet are so perfect right now
They're
that
so smooth.
you got a pedicure." And I was like, "No, I didn't." So she thought, I don't know, in her crazy world, that I went off with this random person and got a pedicure and came back home. And I
I
was
didn't think
like,
you went up with a person. I thought you got a
Checks
pedicure
out.
behind
no,
my
you
back,
said,
and I was like,
you were like, you said, who do I go get a pedicure with? Because you knew I wouldn't go alone.
oh, that's pretty.
So
But
funny.
some ghost of a
Well,
woman.
if it makes you feel any better, Joe, I draw the line in my hands. Like I
Okay.
would never get a manicure.
Okay.
I find something inherently feminine about the manicure. Any guys that do, more power to you. Love it.
I've never gotten anything.
But I probably couldn't do the hands, like having to hold my hand like this while they do it. I think
ADHD would really come
by
into
the
play,
end of
mate.
it, I'd be like, I kind of need my hands. Also, don't want my hands to look that good. Like, I don't think that's
A
super
little rough and
attractive. Yeah, you
tumble.
want to show that
a
you're
little
like,
bit of grit.
yeah, exactly. But it was done.
You must have good feet though, because if you had bad feet, that's a tough first date.
Yeah, no, I've got good feet. I play a fair amount of basketball, and when your toenails get stepped on, they can get like a white, like dead spot at the base or whatever. So I definitely deal with that. My feet right now actually don't look that good for how many pedicures I get.
How many pedicures you get? I always ask people like, "What's your favorite unconventional date idea?" And I think that you just like took the, you know, without even meaning to, took the cake for that one because that's
Yeah.
such a sweet and like it's something that you can do together, but you can still have a chat with each other. You're not drinking, so it's very clear-headed. It's
Not
very
a long
organic.
wait usually too.
I love the fact
That's one of my big things recently is like I obviously don't go on first dates anymore, but when I would go to these restaurants that don't take reservations, and I would like all my conversation I would get done in the wait because you go to like Kazunori on a Saturday and they're like, yeah, 45 minutes until you get in. By the time I'm in at the seats, I'm like, I've already talked about everything.
I already know who you
are. Like I have nothing left to talk about now.
Well, I love that there was a line out the door and you got upgraded to number one in line. That was so
A lot of
good.
guys are probably jealous of you.
Oh, very
Like,
jealous.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of pre-meeting this beautiful woman, I want to ask you a couple of questions about like dates and dating. So, do you have like did you have a certain like something that would set your confidence or set the mood before going on a pre-date, like certain like clothing or cologne or like a little self-care ritual?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all the
pedicure?
above kind of. Yeah, pedicure. No, I mean, a good shower is definitely. I know that sounds
Hygiene?
silly, but like a good long shower before, just to kind of like get your mind right, reset the day, wash off whatever. I mean, cologne is a big help. Like, I've definitely gone out to the car and then been like, oh, I need to go put cologne on because I don't feel as confident without it. I think that's a big one. I wish I was like cool and could say like meditation, but I'm just not quite that cool yet. There was a period of time where I would like try to do some breathing stuff beforehand, and then.
Did you ever like heavily research your dates before you went out on them, or is that kind of a faux pas in your head?
I mean, Instagram, like I'm no.
Yeah, but how
I'm no
deep did you
stranger.
dive?
I'm not going too deep. You know, here's my secret. You what you should really do is go to their tagged photos. Because a lot of people don't think about their tagged photos, and so they don't really. And some people don't even know that you can untag yourself. So
Yeah.
I've even heard people go, "Oh, I thought I was attached to that forever," you know. And so I don't even care what you have to say about yourself. Of course, you're
What
gonna
does
say
everybody else have
you're
to
gonna
say?
you're gonna say the best things of all time. You know, I'm trying to go right over
It
here.
is a vast
And
difference
it's like,
too.
oh, you were at a lingerie party
Oh,
for
so
Halloween last year.
It
You
is
know?
a vast
It's funny
difference
how the
'cause
lingerie party didn't make it to your feed.
sometimes you'll catch the super filtered photos versus the really normal ones,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it's sometimes quite upsetting.
No, it can give you a better idea of what that first date is going to be, especially when you're meeting on the apps, you know, because the apps can be that. I think that's my only when I was actively on the apps. That was my only thing was the like why put a picture that's like my absolute best angle with the absolute best light, and then I'm gonna show up and you're gonna see me and be like, you don't look like that.
If anything, you should put slightly worse photos on
Exactly.
there
So that
like
when
they're
I-
fucking blown out of the water when you walk in.
Thank you. It's all about setting up expectations. Like all of disappointment in life is about expectations not being met.
I always
Set
had
the bar low.
I always had really goofy like photos on my dating profiles. I always had like I was like wearing bikini over clothing or like just doing stupid shit because I was like, at least they know
Yeah,
that
you
that's
had
a
some
part of my
modeling
person.
pictures.
I mean, of course, I was a model. I had to chuck a couple up there, but like then there was a healthy dose of like
I looked
goofy.
at Hannah's Instagram and it was
I want to get into like we've been reading these articles lately. Actually, Joe was recently an article in Newsweek where they were basically saying that 60% of Gen Zers said that they wouldn't spend any more than $50 on a first date. And even though you are technically a millennial, I feel like you are right on the cusp.
I'm right on the cusp.
Right. So I want to know what you think the appropriate amount of money is to spend on a first date,
I mean,
or does it differ?
I'm
from
trying
woman
to get
woman?
out of there for south of 100.
South of 100.
Would be like a great first date, but
Mhm.
it's so rare. I mean, it's just like here's what it is it's the alcohol.
It's a killer.
It's the alcohol. And the reason I know that is because I haven't been drinking pretty much at all. I don't drink a lot in general, but then like the last few months I've kind of taken like a hard stamp. Like even if I'm at a meal and you're having a beverage, like I'm just not going to. Because that's what always gets me. And I'll tell you what, the proof is in the pudding. Like I'm just looking at the bills and it's insane. Like these restaurants, sometimes your glass of wine is as much as your entree, or
Yeah, it's like $25, $30,
Yeah,
and you get this much of it.
And another thing is what we were talking about, expectations. If you start too high, so if you start super nice sushi restaurant right off the bat,
You're taking a Nobu for the fucking first date,
well,
mate.
not the first.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you
Yeah.
took them to a place like
Yeah,
Nobu,
it's just downhill from
where
there.
do you go up from
Yeah,
there?
exactly. And so I think it's important too to be like find fun places that aren't too expensive.
That's why we're always really big advocates of obviously the name First Rounds on Me, but like just going for a drink.
Yeah, that's
rather
the
than
way
going
to
for
do it.
dinner, just having a drink, and then if the night progresses and you want to go and have dinner or more drinks, then it's fucking perfect. But then you're spending under $50 hopefully for two drinks.
but if it goes well, if it goes well, you're okay with spending more than $50.
Yeah,
whatever.
no, 100%.
But yeah, to both your points, if it's not going well, it's like okay, had one drink, didn't waste too much money. But also as a guy, when you're single, if you're gonna pay for the dates, which I always did, and you do like 3 dates a week, and you're doing like $100 dates, you're like fuck. No matter how much money you have, you can't afford.
Yeah,
that.
that's why like serial dating in LA, it's like good luck, man. Like it's like
you gotta have deep pockets to be able to do that.
No, you really do, and it's like recently I've been if I did have a first date coming up, I probably would just try to cook. Because I've been cooking a lot, like since January of this year. I'm trying not to drink very much, and then I'm also trying not to eat out as much because like that's all I do. Especially like directing, like everything is a meal. It's like let's get a meal and talk about it. Let's get a meal and talk about it. And I'm trying to be like, let's get on the phone and talk about it.
Well, I cook myself dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been getting down with the shrimp scampi. Have you ever made shrimp scampi?
I'm allergic to shellfish.
You make good shrimp scampi?
Bro, I make the best shrimp scampi.
Ooh.
Yeah, the key is you like all the recipes, you don't get left with enough sauce. So I'm gonna give you my thing. So most shrimp scampi recipes call for like a cup of white wine. You want to do a cup of white wine, and then you also want to do a cup of chicken broth.
Okay.
And then you'll get a nice, and then all the other ingredients are pretty much like you can Google them. I'm not like gonna lie to you and say I created the scampi.
Well, hopefully get to taste it one day.
Oh, dude, I would love
Let's
to make
see.
it for you guys. Not her though. I don't want to kill you.
Please don't kill me. I thought we were friends. Please don't murder me by shellfish.
But yeah.
I think this is something that's always really interesting, and we've had many, many conversations about this. But say, for instance, you went on a first date and you knew it wasn't going anywhere, right? Like you're like, nah. Is there a post-date text going, hey, don't feel this anymore? Or do you kind of just like slow fade out?
When I hear you say it like that, I know what the right thing to
You
do
know?
is. You know?
It's okay. Again, being honest, get this wrong all the time. People don't like my
Joe's an
response,
advocate
but
for the slow fade.
it's big slow fader.
I think that I probably slow fade. The one that's popping in my head, though, it's pretty funny, is I went on this one date with an amazing girl, but we realized we were just like talking and there wasn't that chemistry.
Mm.
But then she was a wardrobe stylist. And yeah, really talented wardrobe stylist. And then the next week I had a job, and and I just texted her and I was like, hey, like I know I haven't really like been in contact too much. Just want to let you know, like, I think you're an amazing person. I don't know if you're my person, but I do have a job coming up and I would love to book you on it. And she was like, great. And
That's
that was
awesome.
like the most organic one. So, I mean,
Well, that's really natural. That's like he's just going, I love that. Like, I think you're a great person, but you just might not be my person. You're just not
It
my
is a
person,
great line.
darling. That
yeah,
is.
you're just not my person. And I think it makes it hopefully less like a personal dig, you know?
I think it really
Yeah.
cushions it, and it makes it less about. And it's kind of like the modern day. It's not you, it's me. You know what I mean? In a way, but in like a much classier way.
So in like 20 years, saying you're not my person is going to be as cliche as saying it's not you, it's me.
Probably, but
So
right now we're in the
right now
infancy of it, so it's fine.
Right now we're getting away with
So
it.
now it's chill. All right, so kind of round out dating, I want to ask, we always ask people this. Would you date yourself? It's a very existential question.
It is so excellent.
We've gotten some mixed reviews.
I would date myself now.
Good answer.
Yeah.
When wouldn't you have dated yourself? Any time before now?
Not that, you know, I definitely would say like 18 to 23 was a pretty dangerous time. I was just moving out to LA. Like,
That's rough, man.
yeah, and I think I was just trying to find what made me tick.
Yeah.
What, like, you know, when you have no identity, everything becomes your identity.
You absorb it all.
You absorb it all. So, you know, I had a friend that really liked going to the club and trying to talk to women. So that was my identity, you know? And then I had a friend that really, ironically, really liked going to church. We went to church every week, you know? It was like, I kind of, you know, I found that if you are a leaf, you will get blown in the wind. And so really trying to not be a leaf and be a rock and be like, this is me. If you want, we can go places together and we can do things, but it's not going to change who I am and how I move.
I really like
So-
that analogy. If you're a leaf.
And we always say that your 20s, you put it perfectly. Be a leaf. You're
Be a
gonna
leaf.
well,
Yeah,
not
well,
be a leaf,
yeah.
but you're going to be a leaf.
Yeah,
just
you're going to be
naturally.
a leaf whether you want to be or not. And
Yeah.
especially if you move from a small town to Los Angeles.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of wind here. If you know
But
what
yeah,
I mean.
I think you're ahead of the curve. You're 27. When
Yeah.
I didn't figure out who I was till I was like 30.
Yeah.
Until he met me.
It's kind of funny
Pretty
because
much.
I feel like I'm just kind of starting to have that awareness, I guess.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's not like I have it all figured out, but I would say like just in the last 6 to 8 months, I've kind of developed this awareness of like, you are who you are, what you do, you know? Like you can have an image of yourself, but if you aren't acting like that, then you're not that. And
No.
I think that was it, where there was a disconnect between what I thought about myself and what I wanted people to think about me and what they were thinking. So
That was really well put, darling.
Yeah.
Really well put. All right, we've got a couple more sections here, but before we get to the game, I want to talk about sex really quickly
cool.
because it's a hot topic always. I'm going to ask you like 4 or 5 questions, short, snappy answers. What are your thoughts on sex on the first date?
No.
Love it. Describe your sex life using emojis.
Fire emoji.
Ooh, that's a good one. Do you think it's ever okay to have sex with an ex?
If you're really lonely. I mean,
That's such a good, honest answer. If you're really lonely.
like, I don't think it's the best thing to do, but I do think that it can fill a void that might feel worse than not doing it.
I love that. Favorite post-sex snack?
A bowl of cereal.
Shrimp scampi.
Yeah. I just go start cooking up. I'm in my underwear, like still kind of hard, just cooking shrimp scampi.
What are your thoughts on a one-night stand?
Be careful.
I like that. Oldest person you've slept with?
52.
What was
Ooh.
yours?
Around 50 when I was his age too.
Mine was
All right, we're going to play some games. So we're going to play How Well Do You Know Yourself? So I'm going to say something and then you have to answer it, basically.
Cool.
Although one of them you've already answered, so anyway, continue. This is softball. What beautiful blonde actress did you post a photo with the caption, "Am I legally blonde now?"
Oh, probably Reese Witherspoon.
Had to be Reese
Had to be
Witherspoon.
Reese,
So
yeah.
that was a softball.
I sat next. Yeah, that was such a crazy moment.
Okay, so you've been, I mean, I didn't even realize. Anyway, you're going to understand in a second. You did an amazing mini doc with Cooper Cup in 2018. Where is he from?
Yakima,
I
Washington.
didn't realize you were from there. So out of all my research, somehow I didn't look
you didn't catch that one.
In a post on August 28, 2021, you posted a series of pictures with a caption, "Can't wait for September." What was the hashtag that you used?
Maybe like "Wake me up when August ends."
Oh, he knows himself.
Wow, that's good.
job.
I was just thinking about what I would say there that has to do with September. And I was
Do you remember
like,
the post?
Not at all.
Yeah, what was the post about?
It's just it's like a whole bunch of series of photos. I think you were like one of them. You were camping. You were doing something else. Like
Oh, a little photo dump.
a little photo dump.
Little
That was
photo
great.
dump.
That's good. 3-3.
And then last one. Actually, this is like a two-parter. So in your short film, "Till Death Do Us Part," which won the Florence Film Awards in 2021 among a plethora of other official selections, who was the director of photography?
Oh, Jeremy Hill.
There you go. And can you name all 4 executive producers?
Oh.
The perfect score lingers.
Oh.
Well, my guess is, I know my mom offered some snacks on that. Like she sent some food for that. So, but usually I always put her maiden name. So probably Jerry Kahn.
These are executive producers, not just producers. Like there's 4 executive producers.
Producers. Okay, is Jeremy Hill one of them?
No.
Am I one of them?
No. Well, you were one of them, but this is like in the 4 that were listed there.
Oh my gosh. Are they,
Do you want me to give you a hint?
yeah.
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel,
McAdams?
Who's that? What's that late night host with the last?
Maddow?
Rachel Kimmel.
Yep, there you go.
That's crazy. Whoa.
Whoa.
Wow, okay, keep going. Yeah.
You got 3 more?
Rachel Kimmel, maybe, give me the first name.
Dan
Kahn?
Yep. Selma.
Thelma Channon.
Mm-hmm. And Amanda.
That one was made up. That's not even a real one. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, you were so close to a perfect
So
score.
is you the director and these were the 4 executive producers?
There's other producers on there, but
this
these are
is the very
executives.
first thing I ever did, and I didn't really know the executive producer role, so I was just throwing it out for different items I needed.
Okay.
So I would go to people and be like, like Thelma, for example, I didn't have money for a lens. And so I said, if you can provide this lens, I'll make you an executive producer. So I ended up all these executive producers, but it made like no sense.
That's nice. That's nice
It was
for
a good
them.
score though.
Yeah.
That was
I give him a 90.
Yes.
I give it like 92. If you really think about it.
92 works.
Well, 92 and 90 are the same. They're both A minuses. So unless you're going to give me a 93.
All right, nerd, calm down.
Unless you're going to give me a 93, just give me a 90 for God's sake. Like.
All right, we're going to do first thing that comes to mind. So I'm going to say something, you tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Coffee.
Your time in Uganda.
Life-changing.
Caitlin Quinsberry.
Caitlin Quisenberry.
Sorry.
Incredible. Going to be on The Voice this upcoming season. She's an incredible music star who I've gotten to shoot some good music videos with.
I saw those. They were really good. FaceTiming Dylan Spryberry while he's in the shower.
Oh. Why did I do that? I don't know.
Which love him. Such a legend.
No,
I've known him through Tyler for the longest time.
Oh, you know Tyler Shields?
Yeah, I've shot with Tyler so many times.
So cool,
Probably
yeah.
seen my face on something without knowing.
I think I have. No, it's all kind of coming back now. But no, yeah, Dylan's amazing.
He's such a legend, mate.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
Costa Rica.
What?
Costa Rica. Sorry, that was my...
My happy place.
Your happy place.
Yeah.
Flower Boy.
Amazing. That was the thing we got to shoot in France. Yeah. So Dylan and I, just come full circle, we wrote and directed that together. And we got to put our one of our best friends, Kylan Rambo, he was the star of it. He's phenomenal in it. So good. But yeah, no, we that was it will always be one of my favorite projects. I could go get an Oscar for something, and what we were able to do with the limited resources, like we shot this during COVID when everything was shut down. We got to go to France during COVID, and France had some of the strictest COVID rules, but we were able to finagle this like letter from some mayor in some small city. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was just one of those things where when I look back on it, even now I'm just amazed. So I'm very excited to look back on it even later in my career.
Hey, that's beautiful. Texting, phone calls, or FaceTime?
I'm a big FaceTime guy,
Yeah?
which I've been told is a little intrusive early on
I love
because we'll be
FaceTime.
talking for like a week and I'll just get you on the FaceTime real quick. And like for women, apparently that's not always like super kosher because like
Well, we gotta,
makeup or what, whatever
we
it
gotta put
is.
time
Or like,
into looking good so we look like effortlessly good when you answer. Like,
yeah,
oh my god, you just
no,
called me at such a
exactly.
random time.
And so I have found out that a FaceTime call can be a little bit forward, but I love FaceTime. There's just something so personal about it.
We FaceTime it really early on in dating, and it's
Yeah,
continued on.
we had gone on a date already.
That's so he's gone on dates before with these people.
But don't you think that before a first date, like a FaceTime call could be worth its weight in gold, maybe?
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people don't.
I mean, I'm so steadfast on being in person as quickly as possible.
I got you. Yeah.
Just because, like, okay, texting, you could definitely find it out and misconstrue how the conversation or the person is.
Yeah.
FaceTime is a little better, but I feel like the people have so much pressure on them that they're not being their true selves, and it kind of solidifies that they're not who you want them to be
Before they even have a chance.
Yeah,
to show
and
you
I
who
feel
they
like
are.
in person, you have like 5 to 10 minutes of unwinding your nervousness, and those 5 to 10 minutes on a FaceTime is like all you get. So it's like full 10 minutes of being nervous.
Just being nervous.
And then
That's
yeah,
so
like in
true.
the date, if you go to like the 30th minute versus the 5th minute, you're probably so relaxed and being yourself, and like that's when like the date really starts.
Where you don't even get that opportunity unless you're gonna do like an hour FaceTime call, which I'm not.
Yeah, right? That's just how I see it.
You're like about to hang up. You're like, I'm so sorry, we haven't been able to be ourselves the last 10 minutes. So can we talk for another 10, please?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what are you watching?
All right, so to round out the entire podcast, we're just going to do some rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question, short, snappy answers.
Okay.
What would have to happen for you to walk out mid-date?
There's been some bad things, and I've sat through it all. So I think like what you would have to do. Oh, I mean, if you took a phone call during the day,
You walk out, you'd be like over it.
I would
Not an excused phone call, like a full-on phone call.
maybe an excuse phone call, but even that, like being on your phone, like I've had the texting thing where I've walked to the bathroom to decide if I was gonna leave. Yeah, like,
That's a good one too,
like,
because it shows the person's not fully invested in your
not fully
in your time.
invested, and it's also just kind of like
It's disrespectful.
yeah, it's a little disrespectful. I even struggle with it. I'm a little bit like kind of a dad in that remark, even in like my dating life. Like I'm kind of the guy that would be like, I hate it, but I'll be like, are you gonna be on your phone this whole time? You know? And it's like I'm so anti-phone, guys, that I just 2 days ago I bought a flip phone. So I have my iPhone, but I have a secondary line that I only pay $3 a month for, by the way. It's very cheap. You can do it. And I call it my bat line. And so since I'm dating someone now, I was like, I put my cell phone away when I'm working because my iPhone, I'm just so addicted to it. I just
we all are.
love it. And so the like people that I'm working with or anyone that I think needs to get a hold of me and that I couldn't get back to in a few hours, I'm giving this number to.
The only other
that's a good
person that
idea.
could relate to that is Andrew.
Yeah, his brother.
My brother
Yeah.
lives in the 1980s when it comes to technology. He
I
has
wish
a
I
calendar.
could.
He has a calendar that he writes his
Handwritten
work
calendar.
schedule, his notes, his
I feel him, man.
meetings.
When I go to the
It's
airport,
crazy.
I get a digital ticket.
I
You know what I mean? I need the ticket.
I need the paper ticket if
I
I'm
wake
going to
up
an
with
airport.
an alarm with batteries. Like
So
it's
smart.
like I know.
So smart. How would your ex describe you?
Unsure of what he wants. And
Okay.
manipulative.
and manipulative.
Just in the sense that like I was unsure of what I wanted
Mhm.
and I wasn't willing probably to lose her at the time. Is the thing. More afraid of being alone than unhappy. And I think that's like the chronic plague of my age group is like you end up doing a lot of shitty stuff that's probably not in your character because you're so afraid of letting go. Because like if I do let go, then I'm gonna be so alone, you know.
Mm.
And so I think that like would be. I hope that it would start with unsure of what he wants.
That's good. Best piece of dating advice you've ever received?
Timing's everything, and that is so true.
So true.
So true.
2 more. Who should be more important in a man's life, his mother or his partner?
I think like if you're 18 and younger, probably your mother, and then I think in your adult life, if you find the right person, they could eventually become more important than your mom, but that would have to be something that evolves and like right off the bat could never be the case to me.
It's a very deep answer and I love it. Last one. What is a green flag for you that might be a red flag for others?
That's a really hard question.
It is a hard question. I always save the hardest one for last.
All right, let me think about it. But what is a green flag for you that could be a red flag for others? I'm like interested in like what that would.
I've never been asked that question.
Maybe your question's too hard. He just reversed it
Maybe
onto
that
you.
question is too hard.
I
But
think
I can't
that's the
think of
only
an
one I
answer.
reversed on you is that one because I'm
Fucking
like
flipped a
because
universe.
like that's actually a really
Like one fella said, one fella that we interviewed said piercings. He's like, too many piercings, like a nipple piercing, like red flag for him, green flag for other people. People might like that, right?
a lot of PDA. A lot of people find a lot of comfort in we are in our own world, and when we're out, we'll kiss and make and I'm so much more in the ballpark of like I want everyone that's around me right now to hang out with us. And when we, we're not in high school anymore, so it's not like we only get 3 hours to hang out. So I feel like I need to kiss you and touch your butt, this whole time because I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like I have a home, and we can be with everyone here, and then when we go to my home and we're private, let's get freaky.
Yeah,
I just have, and I think that's kind of been, I think that's for some people a huge red flag if you don't want to do PDA. Like,
yeah,
and I'll kiss and hold hands and stuff, but I just
you don't need to be all over each other.
no, yeah, I find that to be very like, don't talk to us. We're in our own world.
I agree,
and I don't like that feeling. I like the feeling of being like we're with everyone.
I agree with that.
So
I do.
you were a big PDAer. You were involved. We've changed.
Yeah, but that was like the very infancy of our relationship. Like we were out at restaurants, and I was like, "Kiss me." But now when we're out, I'm like, "Leave me alone." I'm talking to somebody else.
The Australian thing a little bit or something.
Yeah, I mean Australians. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, here's a question. Do you guys sit on the same side of a booth? Okay, thank you.
We sit across from each other.
Thank you.
We want to look at each other's eyes.
Once you get fully comfortable with somebody, I think to your point, it's kind of like hanging out with a friend when you're out in public.
Yeah.
And then behind closed doors,
It's so funny because that's such a hot topic. Like my roommate and I have even gone on it. He sits on the same side of his girlfriend.
Really?
And he's a great guy. I'm not even saying anything bad about him, but I'm just like could not fathom
I
it.
couldn't like just stare at each other.
Yeah, my neck by the end of it, it's like, what am I like?
I just feel like it just feels more possessive, and it's like you said, like nobody talked to this woman because she's with me.
And I'm gonna touch her leg the whole time.
And once you're married and like fully secure, there are so many times when guys are hitting on her, and I just walk away like laughing. And she's like, fucking save me. And I'm like, no, this is so funny.
Yeah. It's like, this is enjoyable for you. Like, it's not enjoyable for me. D-Cat, babe, this is such a wonderful chat. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks.
So, Daniel, can you please let our listeners know where to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at dcatcreative. And then also at my website at danielcatton.com, you can see all my work, everything that I've been working on. In a few months, Ranger, the project that you guys are in.
So exciting.
Nice.
Ranger will be hopefully coming out, and so keep an eye out for that. And then, everything else will be on my website.
Heck yeah, dude. Like I said,
Amazing.
Such a pleasure.
The best.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Thank you,
It's been so much fun.
Want to do the outro, babe?
Yeah, and thank you for listening. Please subscribe to one of our past podcasts. Our last episode is with Jocelyn James. Check it out. Our next episode is with Peyton Knight, right?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Maybe. Check out our past and next episode. Happy dating.
Happy dating.
Subscribe, please.
Subscribe.